Right, this is the last of these little Mesoamerican chats. I'm just sort of talking about some stories that have stuck out to me and reading through a bunch of books. Um, we're going to talk today about Chalchiunenetzin, which means Jade Doll. It's a person. She was Montezuma's aunt, um, and she's famous because of a rather lurid Aztec legend about her. So, actually, interestingly, there's a little disagreement in the sources here. According to most of the sources, including this book, which is quite well researched, this book, which is a historical novel, but still aims to be correct, and another book. I think it's also in this book. According to these three books, she is married. Chalchiunenetzin is married to Nezahualcoyotl, who was chief of Texcoco. Interestingly, I say according to these three books because Wikipedia has it different from some source in Spanish that I can't read. So I think Wikipedia is wrong about this. Wikipedia says that Chalchiunenetzin was married to Mocquihuix, who was chief of Tlatelolco, whereas I believe she was married to Nezahualcoyotl. Anyway, that's sort of incidental to the story. In any case, she was married off in a political marriage to another powerful chief. And this marriage sort of didn't go very well. She was young and beautiful. He was much older. And she sort of didn't receive him sexually, as it were. And so for a long time they had this. He because she was Montezuma's aunt. I mean, Montezuma hadn't been born yet, but because she was one of the royal family, one of the sister of the ruling Tlatoani, Ashukayatl, because she was Ashukayatl's sister, she had a vast mansion to herself. But of course, she wasn't supposed to sleep around. She did start taking an interest in boys, and she would have her servants choose men from the marketplace and just from around the town, based on pictures, and she would have them bring the boys back to her, there to have sex, and then she would kill them, and have a statue made in their likeness. According to the legend, so she would kill the lovers so that they couldn't inform on her, because if it came out that she was doing this, certainly her marriage would have been over. She would have been killed because they had capital punishment, and for basically everything, actually. So but she continued doing this for some years, apparently. And at one point, the chief, Nezahualcoyotl, came to visit her, and there was a line of statues in the likeness of her dead lovers. And he said, who are these statues of, my dear? I don't recognize these gods. And she said, these are the statues of my gods. Anyway, according to the story, the maid and the servants who she was using to choose the lovers and later to help disposing the bodies, got really fed up of dealing with her, because that is quite a lot to handle as a domestic servant. So because of an argument between them, once when Chalchiunenetzin was with two of her lovers, one's that she hadn't had the heart to kill yet, the maid fetched Nezahualcoyotl and brought him back to the bedchamber, and he came in on them sleeping together, and he was of course very angry, and she did get killed, despite being the sister of the empress. And as a result of this, there were diplomatic repercussions. Ashukayatl was furious, and Nezahualcoyotl was dispatched to fight wars against the Tarascans, which was quite a long march for them. And his troops were put in the front line. He was sort of sent on a deliberately punitive military expedition to because he'd killed Ashukayatl's sister, even though she certainly had it coming at that point. It's a very famous story. Uh, it's interesting that there's a disagreement in the sources about who exactly she's married to, though, and it's interesting that so she would have been alive. The conquest, of course, is around 1520, 1530. She was Montezuma's aunt, so 1480 perhaps, things would have been happening to her. 1470, that kind of period. And that's before the start of really reliable written records. But it's such a famous story. I'd love to know how much is true. I really would.